turn! Pick on someone your own size!
Hey everybody, it's Marshall Monkey here. This is going to be my Riverdale episode 3 review. This episode was really good, kind of derailed from the overall Jason investigation, but we had a lot of stuff to run down. There's so many storylines in this episode that I had to do a top 10 video instead of a top 5. We won't be doing top 10s throughout every episode, but when we need to, when they have so many storylines, I'll do top 10 videos. But we have to get to our top 10. So much went down, and some of the characters that we know got a little bit more time. Like, there's some characters that haven't got a lot of screen time, and they got more in this episode, so that was great. But let's start with number 10. So number 10, Cheryl and Archie tell what they really know, like what they really saw and experienced at Sweetwater Lake, and they tell us about what was going on in their points of view. So we got not only the Cheryl breakdown, which was much more of a reveal because we already knew about Archie's reveal, but we also got Archie's fake reveal, like what he actually used as an excuse. So Cheryl, when they were interrogating her, she tells that her brother, Jason, was really trying to run away from Riverdale. So he was trying to get away. There's no explanation of why he wanted to leave town, so we'll have to wait to see what's going on with that, like specifically, like why he wanted to leave, if someone was chasing after him, what was going on, like how did he die. There's still, he's still murdered, so obviously someone was after him. We need to know who. So that was like this huge thing of him leaving. Cheryl was used part of his plan, so she explained that. They might not believe her, they might, who knows, but we can definitely tell that she does have the truth here, like she is showing us the truth. Archie tells the story of why he was at the lake. So why he was there is because he was just writing songs with his dog. So that's such a lie. We already know that, but they don't. And eventually this secret will get out. Like Miss Grundy, they will find out that she has been with Archie, like she's been with him romantically. So people will find out. It might not be the next episode. The stories are really progressing quite fast, like quite quickly actually, but we might not find out until the mid-season finale. Who knows for sure when we'll find out, but it's going to happen. So, number 9, Veronica gets involved with this guy, right? She gets involved romantically. A lot of people are getting involved romantically with each other. But she goes on this date with this guy, and he totally trashes her. Like, it's such a nice date at first. It's like, hey, this is going to be a really nice date. And actually, I kind of liked the guy. Like, I kind of liked the character Chuck. That's his name. I kind of liked him to begin with, but he totally trashed Veronica, like, not that much afterwards. So it's like, wait a minute, what's going on? Like, I don't understand why this is happening. It was kind of really unexpected, too. I didn't expect this to happen at all, but it's like, whoa, that's, like, such an impactful storyline. Number 8, Betty recruits Jughead for the Blue and Gold newspaper. So what this is that it's their school newspaper. She recruits Jughead. So Jughead obviously has been writing his paper, or his journal, or story, whatever you want to call it, novel, I don't even know. But he's been writing about the murder of Jason. So this whole time he's been writing about it. He's been investigating on his own. We even hear his narrations, like the narrations that he has at the beginning and ends of the episodes. Those are the narrations for his book, like what's actually going on. Betty recruits him for their school newspaper, so he's going to be working on that. Loved Cole Sprouse in this episode, but I think that Betty or Veronica, both of those two, were my favorite characters in this episode, which is why the whole BMV theme, like that was really great. But Jughead, can't wait to see what he does specifically for the actual paper. Number 7, Veronica goes total craze balls. Like, she goes total nutso on Chuck. And this was so fun. She got shamed so much, like with the whole maple syrup photo. It was crazy. And so she goes off like a firework, right? She it goes ballistic after Chuck. She even breaks into the locker room. We'll talk about that in a second. But she's super upset, super angry. She doesn't understand why this is happening. She was kind of warned that he was a player. It was really cool to see this kind of unfold because there are people like that in real life that do that to people. It's also, kind of a form of cyberbullying too. So it was really nice to touch on that in the episode. I felt like it was like a nice derailing because the story this episode had nothing to do with Jason's murder. I mean, the interrogations were, but everything else, nothing. It was so irrelevant, but it was such a nice tone, like nice issue to touch on, and they did it really well. But anyway, they broke into the locker room. I loved this scene because it was so funny. It was like so, like, she was so angry, and she threw it in everyone's faces, and she wasn't even afraid to go in there. I mean, even when Betty was kind of nervous, but when this happened, this towel scene, like, when it was falling off, Veronica didn't even care. She was like, you know what? I'm done. I can't. This guy, he's crazy. I need to set him straight. So I like that. It shows that they are very strong characters. Like, Veronica's a very strong character, so I like her. I like this side of her in this episode. Number 6, Josie and the Pussycats. So this was one of my favorite moments as well. Josie got a lot more screen time this episode, as well as all the other Pussycats too. A lot more screen time, way more lines, another performance. So they've been on top of their game this episode, and I do like them quite a bit. They might get involved more with Archie's music. Maybe Archie will even sing on the show eventually. Maybe they'll help him write a song. We have this issue here that she touched on, which was her race, and that a lot of people, can walk into rooms, but she can't. It was this weird thing, but I actually kind of liked it because it's still an issue that happens today, so I like that, and I like how they used it in this episode. Number 5, Betty's mom is just such a you-know-what to everyone. So she is the most hated character right now. I mean, that's what I've been hearing. I've been seeing all the comments. Everyone hates Betty's mom. I do too. Like, she's such a horrible person. She steals she didn't steal the autopsy, but she bribes the guy for the autopsy. So Cheryl and Jason's mother slaps her across the face. I love that. Thank you so much, Mrs. Blossom, because that was so nice. It was like, whoa, it's crazy. But Betty's mom is way out of line. I hated her so much, but I did like seeing her get slapped. And she's even mean to Betty herself in this episode too. Number 4, so they investigate. So Veronica, Betty, they investigate. Cheryl even helps them. But along the way, and this is my favorite part of the episode, they meet Barb from Stranger Things. So I love this. Barb is alive, everyone. Barb is here. Barb didn't die. So I love this, that Barb is guest starring in this episode. She plays his character Ethel, who was also shamed by Chuck. All these people, all these girls here sitting there were. And so she was involved in the investigation. I loved seeing her this episode. It was really fun because she's from Stranger Things. They're going to make Barb jokes all over the internet that she's alive. So that was one of my favorite highlights from the actual episode. Number 3, Miss Grundy and Archie's dad had this whole conversation. So they have this conversation about Archie's future, his music. So now his dad understands where this music comes from. But all I was thinking throughout this whole scene is that Miss Grundy is so weirded out, and it's just so awkward because she's been getting with his son. She's getting on with him. So it was really cool to see this kind of awkward scene play out. Because you could tell that she was so guilty, or maybe not guilty, but just weirded out in general about the scene. Number 2, they put together this plan. So Betty puts together this plan of how to get back at Chuck, but she goes totally crazeballs, and not the way that Veronica does, but she goes all dark Betty on us. So this was a really intense scene, because I didn't like the scene as much because it was so intense, but the reason why is because Betty talks about how she hated the guys, the football team, using these girls as objects, yet they become these, seductive objects to get back at Chuck. So it was kind of contradicting yourself in this whole scene here, but I loved seeing Betty go all dark and torturing Chuck with the hot tub. It was whoa, back up, Betty. This is just major, darkness right here. She goes into her whole, split personality thing. So a lot of people are probably going to theorize that she murdered Jason because of her whole split personality of putting on her sister Polly's, whole persona. She gets mad at Chuck, calls him Jason because Jason was getting it on with Polly and writing it in the whole playbook. So this is just, it's out of control. And I think that Betty does have this split personality disorder. I think that she is going to fall off the deep end at some point. But at the end, Chuck gets what was coming to him. So the whole football team literally, well, not maybe the whole football team, but most of it. I mean, well, maybe not most. I don't know what football teams, I don't know how big football teams are. I'm not sporty, but football team here, these guys get kicked off the team, and Chuck was the son of the team captain. So that was really cool to see him get punished for what he was doing. So that was great. Loved how they were all just even Barb was there just take that fool, you got nothing on us. But number 1, Jughead finds this huge lead. So Betty and Jughead, the whole blue and gold newspaper team of 2, find out that Dalton, I don't even know what his name is, Doily, I know that's his last name. So Doily, the scoutmaster, he investigates, Jughead does this whole time, finds out that Doily was the one who shot off the gun in near the lake. But Doily, to kind of save himself from that, tells the blue and gold newspaper, Jughead and Betty, that he saw Miss Grundy's car at the edge of the river that day. So now we have someone who places Miss Grundy, or at least her car, at the scene. They're going to probably jump into that in the next episode, like talk about how specifically she was there, why her car was there. She's going to have to probably lie her way out of it. So it's just going to become this huge lie that both Archie and Miss Grundy have to get through. So this is great. I love how they're doing this. I love how they're actually putting together a suspect of the actual murder, because Miss Grundy is probably the best choice right now, even though we know for sure she wasn't the murderer. It's just going to be cool seeing the other characters pursue this theory. So I like it, but I'm sticking to my theory that Betty maybe killed Jason. So what do you guys think of the episode? It was a pretty solid episode, even though they derailed from the actual storyline. Again, they didn't talk about Jason's death as much. Again, next week, Miss Grundy's going to be the whole focus of that. So I guess this is kind of a filler episode, but it was still so good. The show is getting way better. Episode 3 was better than Episode 2 in some ways, and Episode 2 was, obviously better than Episode 1. So we'll get more episodes, and we'll see how the show gets near the mid-season finale. But what do you guys think? Comment down below. Links up there to my other Riverdale episode videos, and links in there to my Twitter, Instagram, vlog channel, and gaming channel. Don't forget to like and favorite this video. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you guys later. Bye-bye.